Meghana Gundlapally from Hyderabad, 20 years of age.
Judging of rhythmic gymnastics is very complex. There's two panels of judges, the difficulty in the execution panels, and the difficulty, and each of those panels is split into two to try and make sure they capture all of the elements of the routine. Good choice of music for her, it suits her personality well. Fouette balances. The body work is not quite as precise as we saw from Viripito.
It was great music for Gundlapally. It's called Rethinking's Dill by Benny Dale. I get the feeling there's a lot of young rhythmic gymnasts in the audience. They can't wait for this day to come. Some with their own little ribbons.
We're looking at the rotations there in pivot, and we are quite a double in that situation. A throw from the foot, double chaîné turn, and as they finish those risk elements, they do need to keep moving the body.
Seeing that video, even now, after so many months, I can still feel the butterflies in my stomach. Feels like I'm about to go onto the stage and give the performance that I have been waiting for all my life. The first thing that comes to my mind whenever someone asks me about my experience at the Commonwealth Games is silence. It might not have been long, but from when I got onto the podium, when I got into my start position, until when my music started, it was just a few seconds, a few moments, but there was silence. And that silence was the most terrifying thing that I'd ever heard. That silence was the moment when everything would have been decided about how my performance was going to be and how my hard work of all these years would have paid off. 8 years ago, when I got the chance to see the Delhi 2010 Commonwealth live, I fell in love. I fell in love with a feeling that was going to strive me towards becoming the woman I am today. That feeling is the feeling of representing your nation at an international stage. Now, you must be wondering what rhythmic gymnastic is. Well, it is one of the main branches of gymnastics. Gymnastic has many different types, and the one that you all are most familiar with is artistic gymnastic, the one where they perform on a beam or on the vault, where they do tumbling and flips and back walkovers and all. But rhythmic gymnastics is a completely women-oriented sport. It is the most beautiful sport that you'll ever see, right from the glamorous leotards that we wear to the stunning choreography that we do and our routines that we perform. Everything about this sport screams beauty. And beauty is never cheap, neither is it easy. And that exactly is what makes gymnastics a complicated sport. Not because it has to be complicated, but because it has to be beautiful. And being beautiful takes in a lot of hard work and a lot of effort. You all must be wondering how I could get into a sport that is never heard of before. Well, I have my brother to thank for that. He used to go for the gymnastic lessons here at Hyderabad at the LB Stadium, and I used to accompany him and wait outside while he finished his class. Then one day, I saw him jumping on a trampoline, and I thought to myself, that looks like fun. That looks so exciting and so amazing that, I wanted to try it myself. And the very next day, I was in class with him. But let me tell you this, until this day, I've never actually been on a trampoline. I have tried so many different sports before getting into rhythmic gymnastics. I've played badminton, have played tennis, I tried swimming, basketball, but I never really stuck to any of them. I always went for classes, enjoyed myself, came back, and that's it. But something about rhythmic gymnastic just spoke to me. It stuck with me in my mind and in my heart, and I just continued with it. I could not stop, even though there have been so many people who told me that I cannot do anything in this sport. That did not stop me from doing it because I just fell in love. In Hyderabad, when I first started, this was not a very popular sport. There were no coaches in Hyderabad, because of which I used to train myself. I used to watch videos on YouTube. I used to watch other players, see their routines, learn from them, learn from the videos, and try to do it myself, whatever I could. So this went on for some time, but I finally understood that if I wanted to do something in this sport, if I really wanted to pursue it, I couldn't do it on my own. I needed proper training, which is why I went to the US for my first ever international training session. Before leaving to US, we spoke to a club, we spoke to a coach here from Hyderabad, we got everything confirmed, and we left. But when we got there, the coach said she cannot take me. She said I was too old to teach the basics. I was 11 and a half when I went there. So the coach there, she refused to take me. She said she cannot teach me anything at this point. She said I cannot be flexible enough. I cannot handle the apparatus now since I had no basics. So we were worried since we were already there, and I was not going to stop. No matter who said, I was not going to stop. So we found another club in California, and that's where I started my first ever basics training. After that, we went to UK for 2 years. In UK, the first place we went was Wales. It was a really small town called Gundlapally. We did not even know how to pronounce it when we first got there. We took a small room, a shared accommodation, and we stayed there for a month. I trained under the coach, and I played my first ever British grade nationals in the UK. So my first competition was not in India, but in the UK rather. After the trainings in Wales, I moved to London, where I was for almost 2 years, and that was my second base of training. Once I got back to Hyderabad, I could not train on my own again, obviously, since I always needed a help. I needed corrections. I needed improvement that I could not do on my own. So we invited various coaches from Belarus, Bulgaria, Russia, Japan, here to Hyderabad who can train me. As I mentioned before, my first competition was outside in Wales. But my first competition in India was almost after 3 years after I started my training. It was in the end of 2013. That was the school nationals, where I was the all-round champion. I trained all these years for 3 years, and the first competition I played, I was first. And people were pretty shocked since they had never seen me before. They have never heard of me, but I came there and I performed what I loved. So I was able to do the best I wanted to. The next big competition in my life was the National Games here in India. And in India, it is the biggest competition you can participate in. But unfortunately, I did not have the right training facilities. I did not have the right training equipment. I used to train on a regular carpet that is not good for a sports person. It could have led to serious injury that would have caused me to stop my game. And we used to train in the dark most of the times. We were not given the light. I was not given the place. And it was hard, but I did not stop there. I did not stop because I wanted to prove all these people wrong, that just because I'm not getting the best of the facilities, I'm not getting the best of the training, that I cannot do anything in this sport. And I continued my trainings in dark, and I got the gold medal at the National Games in 2015. Up until last year, I was never actually with one particular coach. I was always changing my coach. I was always changing my training centers. And one of the main reasons for that was because we could not afford a coach for long. The trainings in this sport are pretty expensive. Everything in this sport is expensive, I'd say. But I knew that if I wanted to do something at the Commonwealth Games, I needed one steady coach for a longer period of time, which is why I took the help of the 2016 Rio Olympian from Greece, Varvara Filiou. Now, how I approached her is an interesting story. She was training up until 2017. The moment I saw her social media post that she's stopping her training, I messaged her that very day saying that my name is Meghana, I want to do this in Commonwealth, and I need your help in doing. What she told me was she had to see me first. She could not decide just like that she will train me, she will become my coach. She asked me to come to Greece so that she could see me, so that she could test me, kind of like a small test, and then she'd decide if she'll continue as my coach. So I just went, again, without thinking, without planning ahead. I just went alone to Greece to meet her, to see her, and for her to see me. And when she saw me, she was so surprised that someone who started at a late age, someone who didn't have a coach, who learned through YouTube, could actually be at the point where I am. She was really impressed, and she agreed to take me as her student for the Commonwealth Games. Going to Greece, staying there all by myself, far away from home, was definitely hard. The trainings were definitely harder than what I had before, because she was an Olympian, she was a high-level gymnast, and that's what I wanted to be. So that's the way she trained me. But I never found the trainings hard. I enjoyed them. There was definitely pain, there was definitely a lot of crying, but I still enjoyed it. I still love the sport. I fell in love with it even more. The hard part that I found about the trainings was not exactly the actual training, but the mental part. The Commonwealth Games is a really big competition, especially for me. Personally, it was a huge competition because that is what got me started in this sport. That is what interested me. It was because of the Commonwealth Games that I took up this sport professionally. So be thinking that I was not good enough, or that I did not deserve to be there, or that I could not perform as well was the thing that demotivated me. It was a hard time for me. It was the hardest that I've had in all these years, but it did not stop me again. This time, I was not alone. I had my family, I had my friends who supported me, who encouraged me, and who got me through this hard time to be able to compete my best. Now, there is one story I'd like to share from the Commonwealth Games. It was not easy, mainly because I did not have my coach with me at the competition. She was not there for any of the trainings. She wasn't there in the village with me. She wasn't there when I was competing on the carpet. And it is obviously needed, a coach, a support system, right before you go onto the carpet. And I did not have that. So I was on call with her, on my phone, right before I was going to competition, I was speaking with her. In the live stream that they were playing for the Commonwealth Games, a lot of my friends saw, a lot of my coach's friends saw, and they all messaged her saying, how can she be on call? Why is she on phone when she's supposed to be competing? And all she could say was, I was not there with her. My most recent competition was the World Championship in Sofia, Bulgaria. After the Olympics, for a gymnast, this is the biggest competition. So every single player from every single country was here. All my friends, everyone, all the coaches, the judges that I had met throughout the year were here. It was like a converging point for the entire gymnastics community. It was not one of my best competitions, but I learned so much from it. I got so much experience, I learned so many new things, and it just made me a better person. And I am 100% sure that by next year, I'm going to be even better, and it will be an even better competition. For me, the biggest part I find is the mental preparation. Everyone says that, you have to work hard physically, obviously, that is there. But if you're not strong mentally, you cannot perform. You cannot perform physically. So it is very important for a gymnast not only to have the right body, but also to have the right mind. Not to work hard, but to work clever. That way you wouldn't injure yourself. That way you would be able to enjoy your performance and as well give the best performance of your life. The judges and coaches from the World Championship were surprised to see that India is progressing so much in this sport. From the beginning, India had always been last in any competition we went, but this time it was not the same. This time I could make a difference, so the entire country was promoted in this sport. A lot of the coaches and judges were surprised to hear that, I started at old age. I started at 11 years. They were really surprised because up until then, they thought you cannot do anything in the sport if you do not start at the age of 3 or 4. They were surprised, and I got them to change their mind about the age. I got them to rethink that age is just a number, and it does not matter where you're from or how old you are. If you put in the hard work and if you really wish for it to happen, you can do it. When I first began, my coach told me that I cannot be anything in this sport. I cannot get anywhere, that if I play till the state level, it would be a really great thing for me. But once he saw that I was moving ahead, I was moving forward, I was not stopping just because someone said I cannot, he saw that I could become the best I was in this sport. I became the best in the country in just a span of 8 years. And that is a really quick improvement. There are gymnasts who have been playing from when they were 3, 4 years, and they're still at the same point. All the international gymnasts have had one coach, have had the best of the training facilities, have had the best of the equipment, have had the financial support, and still they are at the same point that I got to in 8 years. And I got there without having the same experiences that they had, without having the same equipment or the area of training. I did not have that, but I did not stop. With the help of my loved ones and my friends, I was able to get to this point, and I wish that I can grow even more in this sport. There are so many small kids who are coming up in this sport, and I believe that India is not far away in reaching the Olympics in rhythmic gymnastics. Before I leave, all I would like to say is that if you do not value yourself, you will not strive towards it. Give yourself a goal, give yourself a point that you can work towards, and keep working hard towards that point, and you will definitely make it there. Thank you.